Hi, I'm Diane, your host of Epic Conversations. Thanks for joining us. Our special guest today is David McClure. David's been with us before talking on leadership. And you know, with all this trying times and COVID going on, David is going to be sharing some things about what to do when you have an interview. Some people may be out of work and they need some skills or some insights, and David has some great things to share with us there. So thank you, David, for coming back and sharing on the show.
My pleasure. I enjoy being here. And a friend of mine said something just before we started shooting this episode I think is very important. Make sure you brush your teeth.
Okay.
Now, outside of that, we're going to get into some nuts and bolts, but I think it was wisdom because some of us might forget. Brush your teeth. Pop a mint in your mouth. But anyhow, when it comes to interviews, I think everybody who goes in is nervous. You may feel like you are the best person in the job. You may think you're the only person they're going to possibly hire, but you're nervous. And so how do you get unnervous? Is that a word? Unnervous? How do you get there is by being prepared. And part of that is everybody feels like they need to go in and they need to sell themselves in the interview, which means they're just regurgitating all kinds of things. Well, I've done this and I did this and they get into all this stuff because they feel like they have to just impress you.
And you said off camera that we're not supposed to sell ourselves, or you don't sell yourself.
Exactly.
I'm like, well, if you don't sell yourself, what do you say? I mean, how do you interview if you don't say, well, I did this, 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 and this? So people might be asking that. What do we do then? You interviewed a lot of people. If you've got 170 people working for you, that means you've had more interviews than that.
And part of that is you come just like you and I are here right now. You come into that interview believing that we're going to have a conversation because at the end of the interview, all I want to do is I want to know who Diane Grubis is. Because to me, it's more important to know the person, know the character, know the nature of the person. Because I can always train most people to do anything. I need to know the person. So if you come in selling yourself and you're, wow, I've done this, and wow, that's pretty impressive. I've never done, wow, that's really impressive too. Did you do all that on the backs of somebody else because you were a slave driver, or how did you come to do all that? So all I want to know in that interview is who Diane Grubis is. And so when I interview people, I'm asking them questions that make them reveal themselves to me.
Well, like what? What type of, maybe one question like you
one question would be, I love this question. So have you ever been in a position that you were just one of the gals? You were part of the team. And suddenly you got promoted to where you were the team lead. And suddenly all these people, they used to be one of the gals, we used to do this and this together, and suddenly you're the boss. And how did that go?
That's a good question.
That
is a good question.
And the great thing about that is your mind will go to that situation and it prohibits you from lying to me. Because you remember that, just like you go to a movie, you remember this line, this scene in the movie, and if I ask you about that, you can't suddenly throw in, well, the guy did this, because he didn't. So it keeps you from being able to lie to me about that, because, and I even say, I don't care if it went horrible. I just want to know how it went. Tell me what happened. And if it went horrible, so what did you learn out of that? And that's what I want to know.
Okay.
So I tell people, when you come in for an interview, I want to see your heart. I want to hear your heart. I want to know what excites Diane. Maybe it's people. Maybe it's completing a project. Maybe it's spreadsheets. You love spreadsheets, right, Diane? But I want to hear. Where suddenly you're getting, oh, David, and you're getting excited about it. That's what I want to hear. I want to know what excites you. So part of it is you have to bring your heart. But don't just bring your heart. You have to bring a vision for the job. Because I want to know you.
Good. If I was interviewing somebody, I want to know not just what can you bring in terms of like spreadsheets or past achievements. I want to know what is your vision for the job.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they don't have a vision, you either got to impart one into them or it isn't going to work. Because the vision, without the vision, you're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm. And the word says, without vision, my people perish.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing about vision. It doesn't mean that you know everything. It means that you've given thought to it. You've given place to think about the job and think about, okay, if I get the job, how do I do the job? And it's not just how do I do the nuts and bolts of the job. If you're being hired to lead a team, how do I lead them? Because leading a team is not saying, well, I'm going to have Bill do this, I'm going to have John. No, it's leading is how do you inspire people to follow you because you're the leader. So you have to have a vision for the job. And if you come in and we've talked and I've got to hear your heart a little bit. So Diane, what's the vision for this job? Well, David, I've never worked in that department, so I really don't know enough information to have a vision. I'm just going to say, okay, well, I appreciate that, Diane. I'm going to go my next question. But here's what it just told me. You haven't given the first thought to this.
Yes, that's right.
And even if you fumble through it and say, well, I don't know enough information, but from the outside and from people I've talked to, I feel like this is a weakness there. And here's, if I find that to be true, here's my plan to correct that weakness. That means you've thought about it. Maybe you've asked some people questions, but you've thought about it and you started to imagine, which imagination is a powerful tool.
Yes, it is.
Do you think God imagined what we would look like before he created man? Or did he just do this? Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's go with the woman because the guy didn't turn out that well. So that's what I want. I want somebody to have a vision where they can convince me that they've thought about it.
That's good, yeah.
And then the last thing is, I want to hear the vision for yourself. I want to hear what Diane's vision is for, and maybe you're young, maybe you're middle-aged. It really doesn't matter. Have you thought about the vision for yourself? And I'm not saying that you plotted out, well, by the time I'm 30, I'm going to be a millionaire. By the time I'm 40, I'm going to be a billionaire. I'm going to have 15. No, what's the if I heard what excited you, I'm also going to expect your vision for yourself to include something that excited you when you were talking. Because if it's not something that excited you, I'm going to question, why is your vision for that when you got really excited talking about this? So I want to hear your heart. I want to get to know Diane. I want to hear what your vision is for the job because I want you to tell me that you've thought about it. And then I want to hear the vision for Diane. What do you think God's calling you to be? What is it that really excites you? Because all three of those things help me figure out if you're going to be a great fit for my team.
That's awesome. That's perfect. That's perfect. I mean, those are some great tools. I hope you caught that. Thank you so much, David. That was really good. And we're going to have some more episodes with David coming up on another one with an interview as well. So if you're enjoying these episodes, please subscribe to the channel and share it with a friend. In the meantime, have an epic day in the Lord.